Good morning, everybody. Welcome in April 1st, MLB Chop Talk edition. I'm your buddy Chop It On, and of course I hail from the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for everything daily fantasy sports related. Head down to the comments section, click the link, use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, trigger that 20% off discount, get yourself in here, and start getting better today. Content, tools, coaching, everything, all wrapped up into one at DFSArmy.com. Use that link, use that coupon code, lock that price in, and get in here and let's talk some baseball. We're going to talk a little bit of pitching today, and a little bit of hitting targets, and then we're going to turn you loose to go dive deep on specific players. But when I'm talking about pitching, I look at a couple of things. I can do this in about 10 minutes. I look for strikeout potential, I look for Vegas odds, and I look for price, and I look for DFS Army grade type things, which is an all-inclusive metric that kind of overall strength of matchup. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to assess the situation, looking at those three factors and which pitchers are the best of the best. And so I'm going to start off with a high K score, and so I'll slide over here to the Chop Shop section of the DFS Army research station, and I'm going to sort descending by K-score. And I'm looking for anything over 5. I see a 772, and know it's unsustainable. That's just a small sample size on Urias, or Urias, however you pronounce his name. 597 on Peacock, 536, 517, 514, 5. These are the guys that I would like to target if possible. Okay, but we're getting towards the end of the rotations in baseball. We had the aces line up against the aces, the twos and the twos. Now we're down to the fives and the fives. And with the fives, we get a lot of shorter starts, a lot of guys that are not in line for quality starts, and we get guys that are prone to blowing up, of course, because this is where the weakest starting pitcher in your rotation gets buried. And as the season goes on, the ones will not be aligned with the ones. We get day 3 where it's the threes and the threes. It won't be as aligned so much. You'll get a Max Scherzer mixed in with a Brad Peacock and have to decide, which one you want. Do you want the cheapness of the Peacock, or do you want the locked-in floor of the Max Scherzer? And those are going to be considerations. And we'll use these K-score numbers, Vegas odds, and price to consider that out. But right now, we're dealing with kind of like turds and turds today, and tomorrow we'll get aces and aces again. And we want to make sure that we let the slate kind of come to us, because we're choosing, when you're doing aces and aces, you're choosing your Scherzer over a DeGrom or, over a Chris Sale. And I know they had rough starts in the first start, some of them, but the fact of the matter is they're aces for a reason. And you're looking at tiebreakers all up and down the slate, and the margin for error is very, very thin. The variance goes through the roof in an already highly volatile sport, and you're going to be splitting hairs, and you're going to be making a lot of educated guesses, and we need some of these days off to get in here and mix this schedule up so we get 2 or 3 studs, 2 or 3 medium plays, 2 or 3 bargain plays, and then we can sort of formulate our game plan as to where we want to go, as opposed to having to leave a DeGrom on the table because we chose a Scherzer. So today we're going to get down into these smaller, lower talent pitchers, which really lead us into needing to look at maybe innings per start and seeing who's in line to actually get the win. And we come down here to a Clevenger, Archer, Price, Newcomb, maybe a Matz, a Rourke, maybe down in here Ross Kendrick, but they rate very, very low on the K score. I need strikeouts. The reason I need strikeouts in innings pitched. If I get a lot of strikeouts, it helps me cover up for some of the runs I might allow, and it doesn't destroy my lineup. If I get lucky and don't give up very many runs on a great pitching performance, that strikeout potential throws my ceiling through the roof. And so I'm looking for innings pitched going deeper in games, and I'm looking for strikeout totals. I'm looking for the win, of course, but the win is much, much, much less predictive than strikeouts and innings pitched. So I'm going to lean on those 2 factors first, and then sure, I'll look for who's in line to give me the win. If it's somebody who goes deep into games and has a high strikeout total, I'm going to be very excited about that guy. If not, I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm not going to chase a contact pitcher just because he's in line to get the win, because if his offense doesn't come through for him, or he has a little bit of a bad day, my DFS score gets trashed, because on those contact low strikeout pitchers, I need the win, because they're not piling up the strikeouts that are giving them the upside that somebody else might have, that then also has the margin for error to give up a few runs, because they bury the runs differential in with a lot of strikeouts. So All I'm trying to do is assess the situation, kind of let the slate come to me. But I see that a Peacock doesn't get a lot of innings pitched, innings per start, and Stanek certainly doesn't in Tampa Bay. Caleb Smith, maybe. Matt Strahm, probably not. So I'm dealing with some of these teams that might be throwing relievers out. Now I'm going to try and do some research and figure out, did somebody see games started still at 1.4? That's the reliever. Games started here with Brad Peacock only started one game last year. Across last year and this year. Strahm only 5. Maybe these are bullpen guys that got moved into the rotations. That's what we're hoping for. Now, of course, 32 starts, that's a full-on, bona fide starter, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. I'm more interested in these guys. And the reason I'm interested in these guys is because their K score is very, very good. Peacock has a lot of strikeout potential. Strahm has decent strikeout potential, especially in today's matchups. They're both favored to win, at a minus 140, minus 155 out of Vegas. And they're both priced like guys that are new to the rotation. So it becomes very, very attractive. Strahm down here at 64. Look at the difference between Strahm on DK and FanDuel. 6,400 on FanDuel is way too cheap. DK might have him counted for some, 4, 5, 6 innings worth of work and price him up accordingly like a starter. That's a big indicator. This is your big bargain over on FanDuel, and I'm going to be very, very interested in that. I also get a little bit weaker offense in Arizona. And I'm at home in Petco Park, which is a bigger park, a little bit harder to hit the ball out of. So there's a lot of pluses going for a Matt Strahm. The big weakness is he going to go deep enough in the game to be eligible for the win or the quality start? Or am I just going to get 3 innings out of him and it is what it is? I don't want that starter. I would rather take a chance even on a Steven Matz for 8,200 who has the win in his favor, who faces another weaker offense and at least can go 4, 5, 6 innings, maybe 7, and get me 4 or 5 strikeouts or something along the way and pile up more points than somebody like a Strahm who comes in for 3 innings, blows the doors off of it with 6 or 7 strikeouts and can't get the win. So these are things we're going to have to dig into. We're going to have to assess. But right now, I do like Peacock and and Matt Strahm a lot. Caleb Smith's just okay. Mike Cleavinger is overpriced to me. Look at the difference between FanDuel and DraftKings. Again, get an indicator of the dynamic matchup pricing that DK will give you that FanDuel doesn't. FanDuel is stuck in its ways. Cleavinger's a big name. We'll slap 10,000 on him and everybody will be a fool and go. Now, I'm going to compare you to DK. I also compare your GPPs to DK, and DK's structure is better, FanDuel, so you might want to, kind of look at how you're structuring your GPPs right now. More on those videos down the road as a little bit of a teaser so that you'll go down to the comment section, you'll like and subscribe and ring the notification bell on this video. But more importantly, we're going to talk a little bit about these price differences here. 86 and 91, 93 and 10-1. I like them seeing when they're more expensive over on DraftKings than they are on FanDuel. It tells me that DraftKings likes them a little bit more. So Archer, David Price, these guys might be in play, but only if I find out these two guys are not going to go deep in the game. If these two guys are going deep in the game, the combination of strikeout potential, Vegas odds, overall strength of matchup, and then price especially, man, you're not going to beat those two guys. You're just not. So we're going to watch a little bit later in the day, watch for ownership reports, see if everybody else is sort of on this train as well. If they are, I might use them in cash. If not, I might keep them to GPP type stuff only. But I don't know who I would use in cash if it really came down to it, because it is going to probably, if these two are not going deep into the games, it's probably coming down to a Cleavinger, Archer, maybe a Matz, somebody like that, and I might go Matz with a 450 K score, minus 120 in Vegas odds, because Archer's only a minus 130. Cleavinger is a minus 170 with a 513 K score, but he's $10,000. I might save the $2,000. I typically don't even pay up a ton on FanDuel anymore because I'm finding that a balanced approach with bats is going to help you balance your score out, balance your floor out a little bit, because pitchers, they blow up just like anybody else. And on the back end of a rotation, the 5th starter technically at $10,000 is a little bit rough. It's a big ask to pay that kind of price for somebody like that when everybody else is going to be down here in the cheap taking on bigger bats. Now, might work, different roster construction, but that type of stuff is more for GPP thinking. If you're getting away from what the masses are typically going to be doing, you're looking more in the lines of a GPP where if I'm right and they're wrong, I jump with a bunch of leverage and get over a bunch of them on the leaderboard. So we'll have to let the day play out a little bit, but right now I would say Peacock and Strahm are my favorites, and then I'll be considering a little bit of the whole Cleavinger, Archer, Matz type of thing as we go. But here, now we flip this on its head, and we look at the DFSA grade, and we sort it by ascending so that we start off with the lowest grade possible. And then we kick that thing down and we start looking at what pitchers do we want to target. And we want to target pitchers, these 0 grades are interesting because, again, there's going to be probably low batters faced. Yeah, 0 and 10 on these two. So there's really nothing to go on here. It might be fine, might not be fine. Don't really know a lot about these guys. But if I go ahead and consider kind of targeting them, but then I look down here at the Pomeranz, Nova, Davies, Hess, old man Felix. And I kind of start looking down here at these. I'm looking at maybe Houston and Boston, but LA Dodgers, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Toronto, LA, San Diego, Tampa Bay, Seattle, hot as hell right now. These are the offenses that I'm looking to target on these matchups today. I'm going to throw out Cleveland. They're not on the main slate. Probably throw out Cincinnati, not on the main slate. And I'm probably looking more at the Dodgers, Toronto maybe for value. We're going to be waiting for them to erupt for a long time. I think they're very, very overvalued as a team. But I think that we can pick a couple here and there for salary relief on any given night and go after. You might want to look for a contrarian stack. Nobody's given Baltimore any love, and they did okay against the Yankees. So might want to look into Baltimore a little bit for some salary relief too. Probably lean a little bit more GPP with those guys until they bear out and they show me some numbers. But then LA, San Diego, again, these are some value type plays. LA, not if you're using Trout, obviously. Tampa Bay, another value type of play. And then Seattle, probably a little bit more, if you want to call it stud pricing. I mean, they're priced up a little bit. But LA for sure is priced up. Boston, Houston for sure are going to be priced up. All in pretty good spots. You're going to need to probably offset it with a little bit of Toronto, San Diego, Tampa Bay, something like that for a little bit of price control. So those teams are going to be important too. But they're all in good spots because they're facing weaker pitching. Okay, one of the things that I can do to find a little bit of the bats scenario is as these numbers start to pull in and start to normalize, I can come all the way over to the trends tab and I can start looking for who are my studs. This looks a whole lot better. A lot of short sample sizes. I would want to get rid of some of these guys. Let's say I only want 5. This is how you would use this tool. Say I only want guys with 5 plate appearances or more. Get rid of these ones, these little pinch hits, and come in down into here where some of these guys have gotten 10 to 15 at bats. I'll take a 5 guy. If he draws the starting lineup, then I'll look at him. But I'm looking at somebody going up against Drew Pomeranz, who quite honestly is not the strongest pitcher on the slate. We already targeted LA as somebody we like. I'm going to be looking at Austin Barnes and Jock Peterson if Barnes draws the start because they've started off the season here in 3, 4, 5 games with 700 and 800 WOBAs. That's nasty. Colton Wong has double homers, and he's been getting some hits off of Chris Archer, who's not exactly a terrible, option to target today. Stratton, not somebody we're afraid of. So Omar Narvaez, or however you would pronounce his name. Dude, that was a good call yesterday with a cheap priced punt. And guess what? Scroll over a little bit to the pricing. Didn't change much. Still dirt cheap. I'm going to keep running him out in catcher spots where I need the money until he cools off. Christian Yelich. I mean, it's not going to surprise anybody. He's got a 700 WOBA and 13 plate appearances on the year, right? That actually feels a little bit low with 4 home runs. But he ranks higher. Goldschmidt's got 4 home runs, so he ranks a little bit higher in Goldschmidt. He's got a 651. These numbers have normalized. This is a good thing. These are your 4 or 5 day numbers, which is good because all of these numbers have matched up. This is all 2019 data right now, which means that the 2018, 2019 data is going to start being our baseline, and we're going to start looking for guys running above or below their baseline. If Luke Voit, in however many plate appearances, hit a 457 WOBA last year, is hitting a 629 right now, he's still running hot. Your ISO numbers are all the same too. So you want to run a little bit of this together, and you want to see some of these guys with their WOBA, which is a little bit of weighted on base, tied in with their ISO, which is straight power. Now you're talking. You can compare this trends tab. You can build lineups directly from it, and you only get it with access to the VIP program at dfsarmy.com. But I'm showing you a little bit of how I'm going to target things and how I'm going to get in here and get going, and then I'm going to start crunching on my article a little bit today. You've seen some of the pictures. You've seen some of the offenses I wanted to target. You're seeing a little bit of how I'm also targeting some of these bats within these offenses. So we're going to mix it all up. We're going to assess the slate. We're going to punch it out game by game here in a couple of hours. And we're going to let you guys chew on a little bit with some player recommendations as well. But if you really want the coaching and you really want to learn how to use these stats and use these tools and construct your lineups fundamentally sound, you need to jump into the coaching program, dfsarmy.com. Use the coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Trigger that 20% off discount. And while you're down there, click the like, the subscribe, and the notification button down there in the YouTube channel, and get notified of every video that I drop going forward, because I'll be dropping a few a week, and we'll be talking various different strategies as we build the NFL or the MLB season, wrap up NHL, maybe do a little bit of PGA here and there. Masters is coming up, things like that. You're going to want to subscribe to the channel. You're going to want to see how our process formulates as the seasons go on, and you're going to want to get involved with DFSArmy.com for the coaching. Take care, guys. We will talk to you very, very soon.